Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I also stand to support this motion. And, Mr. Speaker, there are, of course, the twin problems. One of them is about the food sufficiency and the need to import maize. And then there is the GMO issue. And if I may begin with the GMO issue, Mr. Speaker, it has been said in this House that what we should follow is scientific research and scientific findings. And that would be very attractive, Mr. Speaker. And members, quite eminent members, have said here that whenever there is a doubt on scientific findings, it is better to err on the side of safety. There is no need, when you know that there is a possibility that a substance is poisonous, that then you take a risk of taking it. And I have listened to one member who is the chairman of agriculture utter very, very scientific terminology. Unfortunately, I did not get an opportunity to say on a point of order that it was absolutely out of order to quote scientific findings without acknowledging who was the source. Everybody here who is talking about scientific findings has not quoted any scientists that I know about. Because today, we grow maize in Transmara. We grow a variety called 614. We grow very many other varieties. These varieties have been developed by scientists of Kenya. And they have been planting several variations of indigenous crop. In Kenya, we actually have a Kenya seed company that carefully and meticulously develops seed. But what is happening today is that we are being told that there is science that comes from the United States of America that says that GMO is safe. And this raises an issue. And first of all, we shouldn't actually be calling it GMO because it is not bringing it out clearly. This is genetically modified organisms, so that you don't lose the track of what we are saying. To start with, in the United States of America, maize is not a staple food. In fact, a substantial component of maize is consumed by animals. And if the scientists in America have found that GMO is safe, I don't know to what extent we can rely on that evidence when indeed we require maize to make ugali and sometimes to make our porridge or githeri. We want it for real life, not for our animals. So I would like to urge, Mr. Speaker, that we do not just plead science before we actually know who the scientists are. The European Union has legislation on genetically modified organisms. And the main purpose of that legislation is to protect humans, to protect animals, and to protect the environment. But in 2015, the European Union actually passed a law which allowed countries to make a choice as to whether they they should grow genetically modified foods. And many countries, Germany, Greece, Italy, Poland, and Scotland, elected not to grow GMO plants. However, the European Union has been importing from the United States soya beans, which are genetically modified. But this is purely for animal consumption. The developed countries, the main countries of the West, minus the United States, do not sing this GMO tune. And I must say, Mr. Speaker, that if we are relying on science, we had better rely on our own scientists. Otherwise, our scientists are sleeping on the job. They ought to come in front of everything else. And lastly, we should be hearing from the Ministry of Agriculture, not the Ministry of Trade, because this is not really just a trade affair. It is a matter for our food. I support.
The MP for Central Imenti, the Honorable Moses Kirima.
Speaker, sir. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir, for giving me this opportunity to contribute on this very important motion which affects Kenyans. I thereby, Mr. Speaker, sir, support the motion as brought by my colleague on this animal called GMO. The importation of maize in this country is true is meant to alleviate the hunger and the starvation of many Kenyans in various parts of the country. And it was through the Minister for Trade, my friend Moses Kwisha, who indicated in black and white that they are going to import GMO maize. We have no reason of why we are to doubt Moses Kwisha that the maize they are going to import is GMO, because there is no other things which have been brought to the contrary to show that it's different maize, as it has been tried to be shown by the chairman of agriculture. He has come up with different terminologies as related to this maize, but still it does not convince Kenyans that it's any different from the GMO maize which every Kenyan or every around person in Kenya is rooting against, because we have been informed that GMO is a genetic modified food, and that genetic modified food is not suitable for human consumption because it comes with some effects to the human health. Mr. Speaker, sir, it's common knowledge that Kenyans, most of the Kenyans these days, are spending their money on health matters, mainly cancer. If one is not affected, he is infected by the cancer problem. And we have been told that this scientific interference of the modern life has really contributed to these changes which takes place naturally, and they end up making people victims of cancer problem. And if you go to almost every family in Kenya now, people have been impoverished purely by this disease called cancer. And when this GMO comes to Kenya, it means that Kenyans are going to consume this maize, and when they consume this maize, it's going to make this problem of cancer rise up. Yes, we have maize in the Rift Valley region, which has just been harvested, and you have heard from other colleagues of mine here that they also are holding this maize even in their houses. But now, what is the government going to do to assist the farmers who have bumper harvest in the northern Rift Valley to have this maize come out of the market, so that it's a good maize which has been grown up here in Kenya through the natural way, which has not been interfered with, and it is a maize which should be given to the market through the government, whereby the government is supposed to pay for this maize. Now, we have been hearing through the various members of the Department of Agriculture that America has been consuming GMO maize. Those who have traveled to America before, those who have learned about America, they know that in America, maize is animal feed. It's meant to be for animal feeding. It's used to make animal feeds in America. But now, what is being consumed there by animals in the Western world, mainly America, is coming here to be consumed by Kenyans. Even though we are desperate, we have a dignity to protect. Even though we have a problem, our Constitution, Article 24 up to 26, talk of dignified life. And this dignified life is only the government which can assist us to have this dignified life by having maize which is proper, especially the one which is grown in Kenya and especially in the Rift Valley, to be bought by the government to be distributed to the Kenyans. Otherwise, this motion as it is now, I support it because, sincerely, as it is now, if this maize is brought to Kenya, it's going to make Kenyans suffer. And by the way, it's just 2 days ago when we have been told that this maize is going to be imported. How comes that it is already at the port of Mombasa? It means that it was already a predetermined issue. What are you going to do with these cartels? We were fighting these cartels when you were saying that we want to change in this government. Does it mean that we inherited the same cartels who are still going on with, as they call it in government, is it state capture? No, Mr. Speaker. Lest this GMO maize not come to Kenya.
Mjumbe wa Likoni, Mheshimiwa Mishi Mboko.
Asante sana Mheshimiwa Spika. Hata mimi nasimama kuunga mkono hoja hii ambayo imetolewa na Mheshimiwa mwenzangu. Kwa hakika sisi kama taifa tuna jukumu la kulinda afya ya Wakenya, na pia kuna jukumu ya kuangalia uchumi wa wakulima wa taifa letu la Kenya. Na kwanza nina masikitiko makubwa sana kwa matamshi ya waziri alipoongea na kusema ya kwamba iwapo Wakenya wamekuwa wakipata vifo kwa njia tofauti, basi kupata vifo kupitia vyakula hivi vya GMO hakuna tashwishi. Hayo ni matamshi ambayo ni aibu sana kwa yametoka kwa kiongozi ambaye ni waziri katika taifa la Kenya. Nataka nizungumzie ya kwamba katika taifa la Kenya tuna taasisi zetu za kisayansi, na taasisi yetu ya KEMRI kwa wakati mmoja waliweza kufanya utafiti na kuona ya kwamba vyakula hivi ambavyo vinatokana na njia ya GMO ni vyakula ambavyo vina athari katika maisha ya mwanadamu na pia athari katika maisha ya wanyama. Na vile vile pia tukiangalia nchi nyingine za Afrika na hata nchi zingine katika Europa, pia wameweza kupiga marufuku vyakula kama hivi, vikiwemo kama hayo mahindi ya GMO. Tukiangalia Ufaransa, tukiangalia Italy, tukiangalia Croatia, hizo ni nchi ambazo zimebobea ama ni nchi ambazo zimestawi sana, na pia wao hawakuweza kukubali vyakula kama hivyo. Vile vile hata hapa Afrika, Zimbabwe ni nchi ambayo imekuwa na ukame mkali sana, lakini hata hivyo hawakuweza kukubaliana na kuleta vyakula kama hivi kwa sababu waliangalia janga ambalo litaletwa na vyakula kama hivi. Na tukiangalia vyakula kama hivi katika utafiti wa wanasayansi vimesema vinaweza kuleta changamoto za kimazingira, zinaweza kuleta changamoto za kiafya kama kuleta maradhi ya saratani. Vile vile pia zinaweza kuleta mambo ile tunaita mzio kwa wale ambao hawatafahamu ni allergies, ambapo mtu akiweza kutumia chakula chochote ikiwemo hiyo